Hello and welcome to Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. I am Umaru Sanda Amadu. On Face to Face, we do the one-on-one interviews with the persons who drive the news and tell you the stories around the big personalities and also the big issues making the headlines. Today, we are focusing on the energy sector, specifically the power sector. What are we getting wrong? What have we gotten wrong? And when can we get it right? And how can we get it right? Also, we'll talk about the flood situation that happened after the VRA opened the floodgates at Akosombo and the disaster that followed subsequent, and how government dealt with that at the time and how this new government is dealing with that. We are talking to someone who has experience with power generation and who has experience with managing people and how to open the floodgates, because he'll be on top of affairs for many, many years. This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. When we come back, I'll introduce him for you.
Is it the luxurious rooms? Or the serene green surroundings? Is it the tempting swimming pool? Or the classy conference room? Or the cute gift shop? Maybe it's our chef's array of cooking delights. Whichever way, it's all about Cactus Creek, a most respected hotel. 055 039 5007.
My guest is former CEO of the Volta River Authority. Recently, he was made chairman of the committee that's supposed to investigate the flooding of a number of districts following the opening of the floodgates by the VRA. Engineer Kirk Koffi, you're welcome to Face to Face. How are you doing?
I'm doing well by His grace.
Off before we came on there, you were telling me you did mechanical engineering. I'm wondering, mechanical engineering, that's like advanced fitter. So what are we doing with
the turbines are all mechanical. The prime mover, what about the prime mover? You know, you have the generator which generates electricity. You have the prime mover, which is the turbine, then which tends to tell the generator to produce the electricity. So anything below the generator is all mechanical. Even the generator, apart from the stator, rotor, which are partly electrical, and then the control, which are also electrical and PLC. The rest are all mechanical. So if you go to the power plant, the big things you see, they're all mechanical.
So if you work at VRA, typically you're a mechanical engineer, electrical engineer. Okay.
We have civil engineers who also look at the dam control, the dam itself, the civil structures, and the structure of the dam itself, and then also they look at the flood forecast.
Okay.
Yes.
You were saying to me before we came on air that you have never worked anywhere else by VRA.
No. I just kept that. From university, I went straight to VRA for national service in 81. When I finished national service, 2nd September 1982, I was employed capacity building.
The Akosombo Dam, after it we saw the Akose Dam or the Pond Dam,
Yes.
and then we've seen Bui Dam.
Yes.
Should we have constructed more dams on our rivers, or that's the best we can have now?
For now, I can say that's the best we can.
We don't have rivers that have.
We have
can be
rivers, but in
dammed?
some of the rivers, well, it depends on everybody and his opinion.
Okay.
Some of the other rivers, like the Pra and other rivers,
Yeah.
these are in our prime agricultural areas. You don't want to go and then dam a river in those areas and take land of agricultural land. How much are you going to get? Okay, so those rivers are also serving very good, important. Well, the land and the rivers, I don't see, because you're not going to get that much energy from those locations.
How about the white and black waters?
When you look at talk about hydro generation, you need some contour. I mean, like geographical area where you can put a dam, because you need the head of the water behind the dam to be able to generate the electricity. So all the studies that we had was for Akosombo Dam, and then there's Pualugu. Pualugu is a multiple purpose. Dam, flood control as a dam.
Irrigation.
Irrigation, that's the one.
Yeah.
If we have to do Pualugu, we're going to do it because of irrigation.
And then we tap energy from it.
The energy is very small.
Okay.
Pualugu, you can get out of 40 megawatts, at most 80, or at most, you see, the bigger in terms of energy you can get, or megawatt you can get, the larger the area you're going to flood.
Okay.
So I think the optimum now is about between around 40, 60 or whatever. There's a latest which I'm not very clear. So Pualugu, for instance, I believe the best, if we're going to do Pualugu and we'll not do the irrigation, they better don't do it. Probably, but just do it for the flood control.
Is Akosombo meant to expire at a certain stage, or is supposed to be permanent installation? What kind of plan was the engineering, Nkrumah, and all of those things? What was the idea?
Yeah, Akosombo can go a number of years. Was built well to stand anything you can think of.
Okay.
Like any earthquake. And as I said, the structure is such that we have all these monitors, and we have people who are employed purposely to monitor the dam every day. We call them dam monitoring unit. They are part of our engineering. Everybody go and take what we call seepage, okay, to see how much water is coming from certain locations. And then they also go and check the levels, the surveyors check the levels. And then beside that, we also have a dam review board comprised of top engineers from America and South America. You know, these areas have a lot of dams, several years old. So this review board are 5 engineers, top engineers from different corporations. I mean, they are all in their late 60s or 70s. They come every 5 years to come and review all the data and how the dam is being operated. And then they can tell you that, well, you are okay. If they see anything to, they'll point it up to you. So far, they've done it. So far, so good. So the dam, as we see it now, if we're going to build Akosombo today, we'll build it just like what it is. So it can go for another number of years. That's the dam structure. But the power plant itself, after we ran Akosombo from 66 up to, we started retrofit about 1991. After 25 years of operation, no matter when you build a new plant, you get what we call teething problem, whatever. Like when I went to Pond GS in 1986, you see, the plant had just been finished in 82. We had a number of problems, so we had to do some technical audit, we did mini retrofit and whatever. And the same way, Akosombo, after 25 years of operation, 1965 to 1992.
Okay.
Yeah, we decided to then do what we call retrofit to make sure that the plant is made as new and can run again for the next 25 or more years. Simply because technology has changed. You could get more output, and when we did it, far more output.
Okay.
Efficiency had also improved drastically. Efficiency for those units at that time were supposed to be 93. They were recording something around 87. We found out at that time when we did the first unit. So we had to suspend and retrofit, change the turbines completely, and then restart again. I think that was 98. Restart the retrofit again, and then we did all the units. So we change the governance, we change the generators, we put in some device we call splitter vane in the draft tube to also help in the output. So this machine, which could give us about, at that time, the maximum we could get out of the machine was about 148, 150 megawatts. With the new retrofit we did, we could get up to about 172 megawatts out of the machines. Okay, and excellent.
I see.
And I always tell people that Akosombo is the heart of this nation.
It is.
Without Akosombo, you can't run a system. The light cannot stay on.
Is our best backup? Is our biggest backup? Or it's not even a backup?
No. Akosombo is the heart. Without Akosombo, when we have what we call a system collapse, when the whole station goes down, when the country goes down, you need Akosombo to come back online, stabilize before you can start any machine, even pump or start any thermal machine.
Why?
Well, that's the way it is.
So that's the foundation.
That's it. Because Akosombo has regulators. So that's the plant which regulates the system.
So while we are fantasizing about thermal and other power systems, we should not forget Akosombo. We should
Akosombo can never be forgotten. Akosombo is the base. It's the base load, and it's big. Akosombo can give you at least right now we can get 160, 170 megawatts out of each machine.
And that's
you can get imagine. So right now the maximum output is 1,020 megawatts. Whilst previously it was just around 900 megawatts.
You've said that there's the dam on the one side and there's a power plant on the other side.
Yeah, the dam is
but
there.
I thought the dam was created purposely for power. Or were
yes,
there
it
other
was
plants?
created. Akosombo power plant was created for power generation, flood control, irrigation.
Those are the three.
And then transportation, inland transportation.
All right.
Yes,
All
that's how come we have the water lake transport, which is supposed to move. We move cargo and fuel and ferry and all these things. So these are the three reasons.
Okay.
Flood control, which is one, because but for Akosombo, people living downstream, I'm sure we go there, would have been seeing flood virtually every year. Because Akosombo, the river itself, has all these tributaries, the tea, white water, the red water, all of them come all the way down.
So the dam regulates how much water flows where? The
dam then regulates, controls the water because it can move between, Akosombo can move between an elevation, the minimum elevation is 240. We've gone up to 230, 235 before. Okay. The minimum level went in 2007 was 234.97.
Which is like one of the lowest.
That's the lowest ever. Okay. I remember very well.
So lower than 82. Lower than what happened in 1982. Okay.
82. Well, at that time we had new territory. So Akosombo, so when is that low? You can just imagine the amount of water that it can take. So 97, 2007, when we went to the lowest, between 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010, we went to the maximum and we spilled.
I have a question for you. Was VRA created for the dam, or the dam was created for VRA? Which one came first?
Oh, for Ghana.
So VRA was created to manage
the dam. The dam is for everybody. It's for all Ghanaians. It's our responsibility to make sure that dam runs and runs well.
So at the time, we were thinking that we were creating power out of the river only, because I've seen that VRA has diversified now. Beyond Akosombo, VRA has other plants.
Oh, beyond Akosombo.
It means that the mandate has changed.
Yes, along the line, they have to, the airline setting, the art setting VRA had to be modified, because initially Akosombo was the only generating station. Bomb was brought in, and then...
Before I continue, why is it called bomb when the plant's at Akusi?
That's a good question. Bomb, people suffered from the plant. When the pump that was built at Akusi, bomb was, that's where the flooding went.
The water reversed.
Yes, it was there. So I'm sure the big guys then thought they should be compensated for that. It's bomb dam. It's not Akusi.
Okay, that's fine. Continue.
And Akusi have the benefit of also having the VR township and other facilities to benefit them. So yes. So
so you had VRA Akosombo, then you had
bomb.
Now
then we had to add thermal generation. But after 1983, 84, when we had this challenge of low inflow, I said, no, we can't put our eggs in all one basket where all our generation is hydro. What happens if there's no rainfall? What happens in change? So VRA started thinking. And that's how come VRA had to add thermal government, not VRA. Yeah. Everything through, that was government.
VRA
government
was
initiative. It was a recommendation of this thing.
Why would VRA, which is a company set up to run a river or hydropower, be bothering itself with running hydro? Why didn't we set up a different hydro, so we could have had Ghana Hydro Authority or something?
No.
I mean, Ghana Thermal Authority.
It's something that is done elsewhere in the world. So it's Tennessee River Authority, Ontario Hydro, Quebec Hydro. They have thermal hydro, nuclear, solar. They have everything. So that's what it is. So at that time, VRA has the technical competence, and we're bringing another generation. And you need to synchronize the generations together. And it's easier if you have the thermal generation. That was when TAPCO, the Takoradi Thermal Plant, was built. Okay, and then of course, through the late Rollins and the government also came in with the arrangement with TICO to add on another thermal facility.
So VRA owns TAPCO and TICO.
VRA doesn't own TICO, but there is an agreement where VRA takes TAPCO. TAPCO is for VRA.
Okay, so you're
TICO operates. We are the off-taker. We take everything from them. There's an agreement.
What was the role of VRA in the establishment of the Bui Dam? Is it VRA that constructed that dam, or
no? It was government. It was government. The VRA played a significant role because we have the technical competence. So VRA also provided technical expertise. And when it started, there were a number of VRA staff who went to help in managing the plant till the current staff also became knowledgeable enough to run. And along the line, some of them, when they go on retirement, they are poached and they help in running it because it's just a simple hydro facility.
So that one is smaller. Is smaller.
In terms of its form, it's 3 machines. In terms of capacity, it's 400 megawatts. But in terms of energy that you can get, it's just like bomb.
Oh, so
it's just like bomb in terms of energy from we, it's just like bomb. 1,000 gigawatt hours per year or something. Just run that.
So generation, we are doing. So our hydro dams are Bom, Bui, and Akosombo.
Yes.
Should we be able to have another hydro dam anywhere else, or you think that's
I think we should be looking at Pualugu. Pualugu because of the importance. These days, we should have their own food basket in this country.
The issue with Pualugu is that the water is coming from Burkina, and they have the Bagre Dam, and they can sabotage us by controlling the water.
No. You see, people don't understand. Bagre Dam is a very, very small dam. Very small plant. I've been surprised why with that small facility and they have produced so much grain. Bagre, you see, when they spill very little volume, it comes up to the north. And because the place is a bit flat, you see it flooding. And it doesn't even impact much of the inflow into the lake.
Okay.
It all spreads. Okay. But then when we build the dam, it will just contain that. So that this occasional flooding, whenever they open their skin, that's a small plant. That's why every year and then you see them spilling.
Okay. We have hydro, we are seeing thermal, VRA.
Yes.
Have you, or do you, I don't know if you do you have solar and
wind? Yeah, we have solar.
And wind?
Wind, there have been a lot of studies. When I was in office, a lot of studies have been done around Angloga, Ada area. And possibly, I don't know where it is now. There is study to do wind. But then there is solar. But one thing with the renewables are good. They are good. But it's just a color on the icing. It's just a color. Because in our case, our peak demand are in the evening. Renewable, you only get it during, like solar.
Yeah.
Solar, you get it between, like right now we have solar in my house.
Yeah.
You get it between the hours of 10 o'clock, probably, and then 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock. During that time, that's it. Beyond which, the production comes down. And that's not where our peak is. Our peak is in the evening. In a developed world, because of their production and everything, their peak could be in the afternoon. So then it is thin. So if you want to, you are looking at adding on generation, you are looking at your peak demand to add on generation. You could add 1,000 megawatt of renewable today. It will not affect your peak generation. Okay, so
it will be useful for you during the day, but it will not help with the product.
No. It's okay, but we should concentrate. I want to tell people, now that we are pursuing this brilliant idea of the 24-hour economy, we need megawatts. Ghana, a population of about over 30 million, our peak demand is less than 5,000 megawatts. 4,300, 4,400 projected for this year, not good enough. So we should be seeing something in double 10,000 and above.
The ministry has been renamed to include renewable energy.
Yes.
So it is great to look at renewable,
definitely,
or look at green, but you were saying that if we want reliability, then it should be thermal, it should be hydro.
For the index, hydro is already renewable.
Okay, well,
hydro renewable.
Yeah.
You see,
it's more reliable.
Yeah, No, hydro is also renewable. We are blessed to have hydro renewable, so we can add as much solar, because they work in tandem in a way. Because solar can just come, and then when there's a cloud, it goes down. But then the hydro can then pick it up at any time.
Okay.
You know, recently, I think Spain had a problem, and there's this argument that, well, Spain at that time was generating over 60% from renewable. When there's a challenge in the renewable, the grid went away. I mean, when we're going to do renewable, we paid a visit there. And at that time, we're doing about 40% of renewable generation. And they told us that could also be part of the challenge. So it's good to add renewable. Okay. There's no way. The sun is free. I said, I have solar in my house now. Generation consumption right now is virtually free.
It's free.
But then, of course, when the sun goes down, the hybrid, the grid also comes in.
Should governments invest in providing solar to people's homes like we did, where we did the biodigesters and we provided free toilets, or almost toilets at half price to people, to ensure that people have toilets in their homes? Should we do something like that for solar, where government will say, I'm bringing solar panels for people in their homes, or fixing instead of going on the grid?
We are a developing country. We don't have them. The resources is limited. Probably some incentives, tax incentive, but for government to say, bring it free, no. I would not recommend.
Very well.
Pay for it. Because you are paying, you are going to get a benefit yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is Engineer Kirk Koffi. He is a former chief of the VRA, Volta River Authority. He is also the chairman of the committee that has been tasked to investigate the issues around the flooding after the Akosombo Dam spill gates were opened. I'm going to talk to him about that. What his committee found, what is going to happen next, and how we can ensure that's not repeated. And then I'll ask him about the big doomsday question. Why are we seeing doomsday now? What are we getting wrong? How can we get it right? Please stay.
Life is a celebration of moments. Big and small.
The sun is scorching, I'm feeling the heat.
With Piva Drink, every moment becomes a refreshing celebration. From the beach to your home, in every corner of your world, Piva Drink at a burst of refreshment.
And orange, give me Piva cocktail and tangerine.
Celebrate every moment with Piva Drink. Refreshment for every occasion. Piva Drink, a taste you will love.
P for Piva.
This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back. This Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. Engineer Kirk Koffi, you were at VRA since 1981. So you saw the power challenges of 82. Then we saw the Kufuor era challenges of 2007. Then Mahama, I think 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
Then he decided to go the IPP way.
Yeah.
And 2025, we are still seeing doomsday. Yeah. What are we getting wrong?
What are we getting wrong? People should understand how the power system works and then work towards that. In 1983, as I said, 83, we had the first crisis. Demand at that time was nothing to write home about. But then we brought in a thermal complementation. Okay? 2007, level was very low. In Akosombo again, we already had thermal. Okay? But then because the level was extremely low, we had thermal, but we could not manage the demand. Come President Mohammed's term again, then we had gas supply from Nigeria, which we're using to run our thermal plants. And then we had a challenge with the gas supply. Somebody a ship, an anchor went on the pipeline, ruptured the pipeline.
Finger of God.
Well, I believe that was carelessness somewhere. So the pipeline was ruptured, I think 2014 or something. When it got ruptured, in the process of repair, when they were repairing, I think there was a safety lab somewhere where somebody died. So then something that should have taken a shorter period took more than a year. And that took us through the crisis. Okay? Of course, at that time, so we're not getting gas from Nigeria. Hydro was not adequate to give us enough. And then we have to run our thermals on crude oil. I think government have been doing very well. I mean, they subsidized by supplying crude oil. When I was in office, when we had to buy crude oil, VRA could not manage. I was always tracking to the Minister of Finance or the Flagstaff House. And then, so at that time, the Bahamas said he was going to fix the problem. And the only way to fix the problem was to bring in IPPs, emergency power plants. And I was with him when we went to Dubai and met Ameri. And we brought in Ameri. Car Power also came in. Car Park from Turkey, Car Power came in. So many. Let me say, at that particular point, I wouldn't use the point we were desperate. At that particular point, we're not too sure of the hydro. We're not too sure of when this gas pipeline was going to be restored.
And we needed power.
We needed power. And, well, of course, we needed power at that critical time. So we sort of engage a number of people. If you engage 2 or 3 people, and 1 fails, you get 3. If 2 fails, you have this. That's how come we had all these people. People wouldn't understand. You could go and engage 1. The timeline could be shifting, and there's no power.
So bring as much as you can within the shortest and rely on all of them.
Yeah, rely on all of them. But then, wait a minute. The President Mahama said, we're looking at 5,000 megawatts. So even if they come in, and we didn't need that much then demand will come. Because, of course, you need the power for the industries to come. It's not the other way around.
We are growing.
Yes, it's not the other way around. And at that time, we're growing by 10% per annum in terms of demand. In those days, the demand was about 2,000. So per year, you get 200 addition. It takes 4 to 5 years to even add on 100 megawatt generation. So all these came in. But the good thing with America, like I think some of us were actively involved, was the BOT arrangement where you come, generate, and hand over. And as we speak now, and at the time we're coming with this agreement, people thought, hey, this was too expensive. You see, but if you don't know,
for us now?
America for us.
So
the agreement was that let's say whatever it is, and then after 5 years, you operate, hand over to the government. And it was given to VRA. It was an excellent arrangement. On the hand side, probably all other emergencies could have been gone. I believe that the state generation company should control majority of the generation in this country. So that you don't have any IPP coming to threaten you tomorrow, it's going to shut down or whatever. Now, so we brought in all these IPPs to help. And then at that time, when there was a change in government in 2016, December, 2017, there was all this talk that the previous government has signed on too much and whatever. Of course, because some of us were actively involved in some of them, I didn't see where it was coming from. Because at that particular time, not all the plants were finished anyway. There was an arrangement for them to come in certain times. So at that time, apart from Aberi and Kappa who were available, the rest were not readily available at that time. It was with time that they all came on. So if you realize carefully, from 2017, Domso was not gone because the previous government's arrangement to have all this excess generation.
So generation wasn't a problem?
No, it wasn't a problem. Fuel wasn't a problem. But today, since 2017, there hadn't been any additional generation.
So the last administration did not introduce any
No,
IPP?
No, nothing.
There was no new dam? No thermal plants?
No new thermal plant. The only plant that was moved was Ameri, which was moved from Takrady to this place. But that was a plant already in existence in the system.
And car power was replaced?
The car power was replaced from this, but that was an arrangement under the previous government.
Okay.
From I think 280 to whatever.
To 400 or so?
Yes, to 400.
A bigger shape?
Okay, that was an arrangement under the previous government. So no adequate generation was added on. And as we speak today, I believe the current government is going to seriously take that serious, because it takes not less than 4 years or minimum 3 years if you are lucky to add on 200 megawatts or to bring any big base load generation.
The conversation now is that, John Mahama is back and Domso is back. We told you John Mahama and Domso are synonymous. That's what the refrain is now. And we are seeing the power not being stable.
No.
You're saying that's not true?
Simply because there are a few challenges. You need fuel. We don't have adequate fuel. I think I heard some interview on Joy FM yesterday, very interesting. Fuel supply is also another challenge. You see, before John Mahama left, the president left office in 2016, they signed on an agreement with Sahara. I was aware of that, to bring in what we call a floating LNG facility in Tema. Why? Because when you're running a system, a power generating system, you need reliability of supply. And that will also come with reliability of a fuel supply. We have gas coming from our own gas field. We have gas coming from Nigeria. You could run into problem. We've seen problem. We've had problem from our own gas field. It's normal. But if you have this regasification unit where you can then import gas at any time and then regasify it and then use on your thermal plants, especially in our plants in Tema,
in the east,
it will help. But when there was a change in government, that contract with Sahara was abrogated. I know some compensation was paid. A new project was started, which they call Tema LNG or whatever. Nobody knows where we are now. I bet you, if that LNG facility had been on ground, whenever there's a challenge for Nigeria, you can fall on that.
So is our problem today due to lack of enough generation, or it is due to lack of enough
reliable
gas?
Fuel?
So it's a fuel problem now.
Yeah,
it's not
the fuel.
So generation is still good. We are still okay.
We are just neck to neck now.
If all our plants
are available and
fine,
we should be able to manage the peak right now.
So then if it is a gas issue, then
Yes.
that's a finance issue. Then it's a government now issue where they cannot go and buy the fuel. Because the previous administration said they kept the lights on for 8 years.
Yeah, but why?
Well, even though in the last part it was terrible.
Oh,
And
well,
they
but
didn't
during the
want to
previous
publish.
administration, there were other challenges with power supply.
But they refused to publish a timetable.
I mean, there was an issue where my friend refused to come out with a timetable or whatever.
Yeah.
When you run a system, when you have you don't control, you don't have unlimited source of fuel supply. You run into this. That's why you have multiple sources. That's why you should have multiple sources. Because at that time when President Mahama brought in these IPPs, Kapa was running on heavy fuel, HFO, and then AXA was also running on HFO. And then the other plants were running on LCO, you can run on diesel. But we are an era where today, if we call ourselves a middle income country, we should not be running on liquid. Extremely expensive and not environmentally friendly. So that's why we need gas. Gas is the interface between that and probably going nuclear.
Do we have enough gas, the one we are producing in the West, to run all our plants?
We don't have enough.
So we definitely have to rely on Nigeria.
We have to rely on
import
Nigeria.
from other.
Yeah. We have to rely on Nigeria. But then Nigeria also has its own challenges where supply is not always available. And then of course, payment is also a challenge.
Yeah.
Where Nigeria has threatened to, there have been a number of threats for Nigeria.
Yeah.
Of course, our own gas, for Ghana gas, that one because it's indigenous gas, payments can be always arranged. But fuel supply is a major challenge.
So what is the way to fix Dumso permanently?
Oh, the way to fix, let's look ahead. Like this current government is trying to look ahead. Let's look ahead. If we need LNG, let's get LNG facility as a backup. Okay? We need generation, let's bring in generation. At that time, we did some project where by now there should have been a few base load generation. Okay? And you're looking at it, so we should be planning between now and 2030. 2025 something should be coming in. 2026 what should come in. Because if your demand is growing by, let's say, 10%, and you are talking about 4,000 now, okay? 10% of 4,000 is 400, okay?
And next year. So you need at least 400 for next year.
It should be added. And it takes time. It takes money. But I strongly believe that, I had a chat with the minister recently. I believe that governments should have VRA. Will have VRA come up with a structure where VRA can expand in sort of the base load generation. There's POM where we can add a few more generations there.
So we cannot say that the power outages we are seeing now is as a result of incompetence of this government.
No. This government just came in. So if there's a fuel supply challenge, it takes time to even get your arrangement for crude oil. I know they do where they just bought some crude oil. I heard it in India. Crude oil purchases, VIA is no more running on crude oil. I know one of the IPPs is running crude oil. It comes with its own challenges. It comes with major maintenance challenges as well, not to talk about the cost. Because running on crude oil could be about 1.5 to 2 times that of running on gas. So, and of course, If ECG is not collecting enough or is not paying properly, why would you run on expensive fuel? So it is not this guy. I mean, the government just came into power.
But Dumso is a political issue, so that's why it's convenient to say that.
It's convenient because people don't understand it. But I believe, I heard the Honourable Minister, he's going to fix it. He's on the right track. Honourable Jinapo is on the right track to fix that problem.
You foresee a solution coming?
No, he's on the right track. In 2014 to 2016, were they not the same people who fixed the problem? Jinapo was then Deputy Minister in the Energy...
de facto Minister of Power, because...
and that's why he was running around...
but his minister had resigned.
Yes, and I mean, there are people... Those who fixed the problem in 2016 are still around in the system to help fix the problem.
So you trust them?
Oh, no, I trust them. I've talked to the minister, we trust them.
You mentioned ECG. That's a bigger problem. That's like people think that's a weak chain.
It is the weak chain.
The weaker part of the chain.
Yeah, it is the weaker part of it because of all of us. I'm sure we all buy electricity. There are some who buy, they don't pay. And the system and the losses. My friend in Yamuna is now the board chairman. I trust that guy very well.
He was at Greco.
Yeah, Greco, but he's an Ashin man. I think he's going to help fix. And I know the current MD, they're going to help fix it. Because the problem is ECG are solvable. If your losses are over 30%, go where the days, you see, go where the days when the generation was on hydro. Hydro was relatively cheap. From Akosombo, 2 cents.
So even if you waste it, you don't lose much.
In terms, if you waste it, you don't lose much. You don't pay VRA, you don't lose much. Because that time VRA was also supplying neighboring countries. But today, where over 50 or 60% of your generation is thermal, which is crude oil based or gas based, extremely expensive, then you have to be careful.
Every wastage is
it's
a big
lot
deal.
of money. It's a lot of money. And government spends so much money in subsidy. So look at the subsidy from government. If that level of subsidy is going waste and cannot be accounted, it has to be looked at.
One last question on this sector before we move. Why are we sending power to other countries when we are having our own problems?
Excellent. That's an excellent question. The foresight of the future of the previous Nkrumah and other people. You know, the water basin, it comes from Burkina Faso. Yeah. There's another tributary. The main tributary into the Poalugu comes from Togo.
Yeah.
And you've dammed it here. You don't want a situation where they're also trying to dam complete and they will not allow anything to come into the dam. So there has been that collaboration way back to help support those countries. Okay, so that was one of the arrangements which was put in. You can't say today you have challenge, so cut them off. And of course, they were paying good money. They were paying good money at that time. Okay, so the arrangement with Togo Benin started way back because when Akosombo was built, there were only 4 machines. Okay, they decided the plan was to add on another 2 so that power can go through the water region to Togo Benin. You are looking at regional cooperation and whatever. Because if you also think that way, Nigeria doesn't have enough gas. How can they are bringing gas here to help you? Okay. So regional cooperation is very, very important. But in the case of La Côte d'Ivoire, we have an interconnection. They give us, we give them. Okay. It's so happening that we give them more. But when I was a young engineer, sometimes we're getting more power from La Côte d'Ivoire than this. There's always a...
so there are times you buy power from...
some time back. But these days it's more than we supply them. But we have also maintained a grade. There are even plans, and we have interconnection with Togo Benin as well. We've been trying to connect to Nigeria, but because of unreliability of their system, if you connect to a bigger system and they run into a problem, they bring you down. Okay. So we've had problem interconnecting with them.
We've discussed VRA, we've discussed ECG. There's one in the middle we haven't discussed, Gridco. There's this issue about the cables we use to transport the power, some are obsolete. We have wastage in the system when we do the distribution. Is a problem of wastage at Gridco level or at distribution?
At distribution.
So Gridco transmission
losses. No. Transmission have losses, but they are within the standard. I mean, I think between 3 and 4%. And especially the transmission losses in Kumasi to the north was a bit high. But ever since the Mary plant was moved to Kumasi, it has also improved the transmission.
So the
transmission loss is not an issue today. But as demand goes on, and you see, Greco started with 161. There's a 330 kV inter overlay, and then there's another 330 going all the way to the north. The longer your transmission, the higher the volume, the voltage level, the lower the losses. So there's a 330 kV all the way up to Burkina Faso now. There's another 330 kV that they're looking into La Côte d'Ivoire. So as and when the system grows, they have it. But they have a master plan to have 330 overlay over the 161.
So grid code transmission is not a problem?
It's not a problem today, but then they should be looking into the future.
Very well.
And all these things, we should be looking more into the future than just today.
Okay.
The same applies to power generation. Look more into the future. What do you need this year? What do you need next year? And you should, it should be ahead. And you should have more generation, because I've had an argument with some friends where they say, oh, the reserve margin is too small, whatever. No, you got a developed country. Their peak demand could be about 20,000 or 10,000 megawatts. They have close to 20,000 megawatts. You see, for the investor to come in, the investor should see that you have more than adequate generation.
Assurance.
Then he can come in.
Finally, can we put one more turbine at Akosombo?
No.
We cannot.
No.
So this is the maximum?
Yeah, all of the engineering studies goes into all these things. Today, you have too much water, so you think if you put another turbine, you could take more out of it. But then, for a number of years, you would probably, the inflow will be too small. Right now, I can say that for the 6 turbines we have in Akosombo, we are taking a little bit too much water out of it.
Okay.
But we want to be careful, because there's always a balance between not taking too much and then the level going up.
Okay.
So you can, but you will not achieve much. In terms of energy, you will not achieve much.
So stay where we are.
Yes.
This is Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is Engineer Kirk Koffi. He's former chief of the Volta River Authority. Pardon us if we've been going a lot of bit technical, but just trying to work around how we can get reliable power supply and how we can ensure, or as a nation, we can ensure that the power remains on. When we come back, I'll talk about the flooding in the basin, the Akosombo Dam basin, and how his committee dealt with that issue and how we can ensure that's not repeated. Please stay with us.
Looking for the latest buzz in Ghana's entertainment world? Welcome to Ghana Weekend, your ultimate destination for all things creativity and entertainment.
Stay in the loop with breaking news, exclusive interviews, and then insider stories from your favorite creatives and stars. From music, movies, fashion and art, lifestyle and culture, Ghana Weekend brings it all together. Get a daily dose of entertainment, discover new talents, and never miss out on the creativity that defines our vibrant culture.
Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle Ghana Weekend, on X Ghana Weekend, on TikTok Ghana Weekend, at Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube for the latest in entertainment, travel, and everything Ghana. Don't miss out. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, where entertainment meets creativity. Visit GhanaWeekend.com now.
You're welcome back. This Face to Face on Channel 1 Television. My guest is Engineer Kirk Koffi, former CEO of VRA. President Mahama made you chair a 5-member committee to investigate issues around the flood situation. You found out there was a lack of interagency communication, as in they were not talking to each other. Talk to us more about that, and in relation to the flooding that we saw in 2023 that devastated thousands of people.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, let me just start by thanking Your Excellency President Mahama for his vision and foresight, and as well as Honorable Jinapo for setting up this committee 2 years after the event, and I believe they are looking more into the future, not to find out what happened or whatever. I believe they might have been briefed to make sure it does not happen. When you have a power plant, a dam, you store water, and then of course when the water level gets beyond some level, you have to let it go. And I believe that's how come, if you go to Akosombo, there are spillway gates. You see, let me just give you some figures. The plant itself discharged about, let's say, 50,000 CFS, okay? That's all the 6 machines. The spillway gates can give you up to 700,000 CFS. So when you build a dam, definitely there would be a spillway gate spillway system which should take excess water, and you look at inflow into the dam over a period of time. Now, in the case of Akosombo in 2023, the forecast was not, forecast in 2022, the level was high then. The forecast was that they were going to spill. I think when we talked to the chief executive, the former chief executive, and then the inflow was not as expected. So they didn't spill 2022. 2023, the same forecast was that they were going to get below average. It was not till late August that Metro came up, together with ACMA and all the predictions they have, that they were going to go slightly above average. And that at that time, the level was 272.5. And that's where they advised that there will be spillage. Okay? Magnitude you don't know because it will all depend on how much water is coming in. So they gave the advice, all right, that there will be spillage. And then they started on the 8th of September. And then when they started, they were just doing 50, just like the plant discharge. And then from the 18th that they started, up to the 11th of October, there was no flooding down south. No problem, because they were doing less than 100,000 CFS. No flooding. It was when they went above the 100 and the water lake, the inflow is such that the inflow, water which comes in, it peaks around the middle or to the late September. Then it starts coming down. But in 2023, it peaked late September, it started coming down, then peak again. So by October, when we should have been seeing a downward trend of inflow, it peaked. That's where then, that's the indication to this, that, what is happening? Then they have to initiate and spill a little bit more. Because the important thing for those who run the facility, don't breach the dam. Because if you breach the dam, everybody downstream will go. You will not save anybody. If Akosombo should, the dam should be breached. That's if the water should overflow.
So it's better you regulate the spillage than for the water itself to take.
Yes. It's better you do that and let it go than anything happens.
Is it the case that 2023 was an unusual year?
It was unusual. It peaked early in September, then it came down, then peaked again normal. Then when it should go down, it peaked again around October. So that the level started, and then we were seeing bigger inflows. And at that time, the level had gone close to 276. So then you have to take out as much possible so that the level does not go above 277.
What you have said suggests that we cannot hold anybody responsible, heads cannot
No. It all depends, because the lake is huge. Direct rainfall can impact more than what comes from anywhere. Direct rainfall. The lake is huge. It's huge. Okay, so it's just as a result of the inflow. When we went there, they showed us all these figures. Just have a plan. We can see the this thing. You can see the graphical. It goes, it peaks, then it should be coming down. And in the case of 2020, it peaked and then went up again. So then they have to just let the water go. Would have held people responsible if they did not spill enough and the dam had breached? Of course, you can't hold them responsible because they would have gone anyway. Yeah,
they would have died.
They would have died anyway. But then the good thing, you see, when this spillage came, nobody died. The good thing was that they had what we call emergency preparedness plan, which shows the protocol, what to do when you have to spill water, and then the stakeholders' involvement and everything. All these things have been done, and it was done in 2010. Good. It was done in 2010. There have been discussions or simulations on decks, on desktop simulations all the years from 2011 till 2023. But how come 2023 alone? See, that's where divine comes in. Something to them, let's do a proper simulation like it's going to happen. So they did a proper simulation, bringing NADMO, the military, the soldiers, fire service, all stakeholders involved, and did a proper simulation like, hey, we are going to spill. But then when they did that, they should have realized that there were no proper safe havens, or you are going to use classrooms, so the classroom should be properly modernized or whatever, that if it happens, or probably when they did that, they thought it would not happen anyway.
But the classrooms themselves became flooded too.
Some were flooded, but areas where they knew that when it happens, you're going to move people to safe havens. The safe havens were not properly prepared. No toilet facilities. Probably go rent a number of mobile toilets and put them there in case. But Well, these are lessons we've learned out of that.
So theoretically we were ready, but practically
we're not. And communications within the stakeholders, because we went to certain communities, they were informed properly. Certain communities said they were not informed. You go to I was informed. Others were not informed. And then, of course, they didn't have adequate disaster management teams in their districts. Because this is a response not only for VRA, the people downstream, the community, the assembly downstream, also to have their own NADMO teams well prepared and educated to know how to handle these things.
Which means then that there can be a court action?
Well, they should have also prepared. Who is going to say the court action? I'm not a lawyer. But then, you see, that's what I think that let's address that it doesn't happen. To us, I think that's more important. That's what and let me say that, look, the dam has prevented the yearly flooding. Like what happened in Accra over the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, normally before the dam, it was happening down south every time because the big river comes all the way from the north and it will be flooded. But with the dam, it only happens once a while when they spill. So right now, with the vision of the president, we're going to make sure that this does not happen again. If it happens, we are in a better position to manage it. There are areas we call the flood zones, areas that will be inundated or people could be parted. Let's acquire those areas and make sure people don't stay there.
Can we do that? We are not even able to do that with Wager Dam.
No, this is possible. Well, we have seen the impact. And let me say that, you see, 2022, VRA informed the people downstream that they were going to spill. They didn't spill. And I believe several years back too, there have been certain communication like that, we're going to spill. Because your spillage will be based on your forecast. And as you get close, if your inflow is not that much, you don't. You won't say because I've told them I'll spill. I remember 1991, we started spilling. After 4 days, we realized the inflow, so we stopped. Yeah, 2010, we spilled for just a few days, and that was very small. But let me say that when the dam was built in the 1965, they spilled 65, 66, 67, 68 was the highest level of spillage. 69, 70, 71, 73, no 74. All these years, there were spillage. And the spillage in 1968, in terms of volume, was about 5 times the spillage in 2023. And in terms of flow, it's about twice. So you can just imagine, by the time 1968, nobody was staying in that area. And I say we can't blame anybody because we had a dam. The dam had been there all along. What President Mahama has seen and said, let's do to prevent that, we could have done it way back to make sure nobody stayed in those areas.
Are you sure people have not forgotten what happened already and they will not agree to even move?
But right now, in the case of Akosombo, we have an LI for the upstream, where nobody is supposed to stay within a 280 contour. VRA is going to enforce it now.
That's upstream before the dam.
Upstream, yes.
How about downstream, which we saw there?
Downstream, there's an initiative to get an ILI to also get a particular area, which VRA is also going to work on.
And we can enforce?
No, they can't enforce. The enforcement will be done by the district assemblies. You are there with the people. If we have to enforce, we enforce. And I think, we'll do plants of mangroves, but there are a few areas which would need some engineering intervention, like Mepe is a bit low. So, you know what happened with Mepe when the water level, when the water started going backwards. And those things, the mandis on dikes or whatever, some engineering solution will have to come. I mean, there's nothing possible in this world to make sure those areas are prevented.
So
what we know is
we
that
can say that this thing is not going to repeat itself?
It's not going to repeat because people are wiser now. People will be moved away. And like Bakpa, where there's an old Bakpa. People in the old Bakpa, they don't want to move. They should move. The two islands which were inundated should all be evacuated and resettled. And I believe government is also doing all that it can to also make sure people are properly compensated. And that compensating package is also going on. And the good thing is that a new committee has been set up to look at the compensation. And luckily, they approached me, when I went to meet the minister with my team. And let me say that the minister gave me the best people I could have had for the job.
Very well.
Excellent 2 engineers and 2 lawyers. Excellent team. And then, one engineer, Koffi, as well as lawyer Jantua, to join the the compensation team,
Okay.
so that we help them. We have come up with guidelines. We are not expert when it comes to compensation.
Yeah.
So obviously, Minister of Finance, but our team will help the new team headed by Brigadier Kwoti to see how best they can also come up.
Very well.
Because the people down south, I believe, deserve some compensation because to them, when we met them, when our Akosombo was built, they should have been compensated because it affected their livelihood.
And now it has affected them
yes.
again.
So
Very
now with this, they think they should. And I think when they are compensated this time, we enforce the flood zone. And now we've come out with, we are looking at a flood zone for 1 in 50 years. The sort of flood that we could get. It can happen.
Okay.
It's happened in 68, it can happen again. So that one, we're looking at about 14,000 meter cube per second or about 47,000 470,000 CFS. These are the figures of flow, so that area that will be inundated when we push out that amount of water, we make sure nobody stays there.
Thank you.
And then if people you stay there, probably that's what you can do. You can do that. You can go there farm, but no permanent structure, and we make sure when these are enforced properly. But the enforcement will be by the district assembly and not VRA.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Engineer Kirk Koffi, for joining us on Face to Face.
Thank you for having me. Let me also thank you for coming to interview me, and I hope I've been able to answer your questions. But let me say again, I thank the government for giving me this responsibility together with my team to also help.
Okay.
At least this is something that should have been done over the years, but if we are doing it now to prevent a reoccurrence in the future, I believe there couldn't have been anything better than that.
Thank you so much.
Let me thank you very much too for coming here.
That's Engineer Kirk Koffi, former VRA CEO. My name is Umaru Sanda Amadu. We'll be back next week on Face to Face.